welcome to another episode of Some of Our Parts, the podcast where two friends talk about the movies that add up to make us who we are. I'm Lindsay,
And I'm Jim.
and this week Jim picked our movie. So, Jim, tell us what you had us watch.
This is one of my favorite movies. It came out in 1982. Stars a classic film star, parroting another classic film star. The name of the movie is My Favorite Year. And introduces a character into the movies. But the lead actor, the big name actor, is Peter O'Toole, which our listeners, I'm sure, probably know a lot of. And as we go through it, I'm sure, Lindsay will give a filmography of his many credits, but he just played something kind of against character in this movie. To me, he was funny and sort of like I said, he parodies another great film actor, but it was just really enjoyable. I liked all the people in it. And some of them go on to do other things. But again, like I said, this movie's 43 years old now at this point.
Mm.
And I remember seeing it at the movie theaters. I thought it was hilarious. And every time it came on TV, I watched it every time. And then I hadn't seen it all the way through for a while. So, and again, once again, it makes me laugh out loud. And I laughed the whole time I was watching it because you forget some of the little small things. And a lot of the other people come up with the little, I thought the writing was good and the way they deliver the lines and stuff. So
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
now,
mm-hmm.
had you seen the movie or did you know of the movie?
I had never heard of this movie
Oh, okay.
until you picked it, so I
Okay.
was fully in the dark on what we were going into. Yeah.
Okay. And then with that though, but you did you recognize though any of the actors or any of the people?
Yes, so I know who Peter O'Toole is, of course, although I realized in like looking at his filmography, I haven't seen any of his big movies.
Oh, okay.
I've seen him in one thing and heard him in one thing.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, he's done a lot of stuff. Well, you did a
Yeah.
lot of stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Uh, and a couple of the other people, like I was like, I recognize him. I had to like look him up.
hmm
Like the actor who plays King Kaiser, I recognized, and the other kind of main guy, Benji, like he's been on a lot of TV shows and stuff. So there were
yeah.
definitely some other people who I recognized. Of course, I recognize Lainie Kazan, who is in two of my favorite things, My Big Fat Greek Wedding and The Nanny.
Oh, okay. Okay.
She plays
So,
Fran's aunt on The
uh,
Nanny.
yeah. So, which almost tailor made for her. So,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And
yeah,
obviously she plays the mom in My Big Fat Greek Wedding, and she's great. And I can't wait until we do that movie so I can just recite all the lines,
all the
including
lines
hers.
as good. And if you look at some of, I think a lot of her movies, the background of the characters may be different, but she does sort of play that same role, kind of loud and um, I won't say boisterous, but just sort of
Mm-hmm.
a very very big presence is
Yes. Kind of
uh,
pushy, not great boundaries.
some people should drop dead if you don't mind my saying. That was one of the side comments she made during this movie about maybe some relative of hers. But so yeah, Lainey goes back a long way, and I've always liked everything that she's ever done. She's,
Mm-hmm,
like I said,
mm-hmm,
and I'd forgotten about her being in The Nanny, which I did watch.
mm-hmm.
And that her and Fran Drescher made a good combo.
Yeah.
But what did you think of the movie overall?
I thought it was a fun movie. I liked the sort of the setup that it kind of all takes place just over a couple of days. I think that's always kind of a fun place to start from, right? Because
hmm
it sort of limits, it makes the stakes are higher, right? Because we have a time limit. We have this like big show at the end of this couple of days that we have to get to. So I think that that always kind of makes things feel like, oh my God, you're kind of in it with them a little
Uh,
bit. But yeah, I thought it was funny. Like I like love Lainie Kazan. I thought that Peter O'Toole was really funny in this movie. I love his sort of like drunk, posh British man thing. Uh, and the subplot with like this gangster trying to beat up the comedian making fun of him was also funny. So it's a fun thing, it's a for people who don't know the movie takes place kind of around a sort of variety show of the ilk of like a Saturday Night Live. Sort of because it actually is also like it's at 30 Rock, it's like NBC Studios. So this
Right.
it's
And
definitely I think came from like Mel Brooks produced this and he worked on earlier TV variety shows like Sid Caesar's show. But it is like of that ilk of that kind of show, right? With a guest star who is a celebrity coming in and so I think that's always like I love Saturday Night Live. Like that's something I've watched for much of my life. So I think that setting of it too is also very um like familiar and intriguing too. So yeah, I enjoyed it.
good. So, and I know it because of the movie, it takes place in the 50s, but there's a lot
Hmm.
of, I know things that are probably, you know, it depicts the time of that time.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
it's not even necessarily a reflection of the 80s, but more of the 50s,
Yeah. Yeah.
some of the way that, the people were treated and some of the things that are said and so on and so forth, that was just, I think, a sort of indicative of probably how people were back then and how,
Yeah.
the roles, traditional roles and stuff and
Hmm.
so on.
Although they had a female writer, which I
And
was like, this is
and
pretty
the
progressive.
assistant to the director was
Hmm.
a young lady,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
just breaking in, but
Yeah.
some of the other like the
There are shows now
dancers.
that don't have women in the writers' rooms.
That's a good point. So you're absolutely right. So, um,
But yeah, the dancer's the lady in the cigarette box,
it,
who I learned from Wikipedia. Her name, she's uncredited, but it's Lana Clarkson.
well,
And
there you go.
do you know what happened later to Lana Clarkson?
No,
Phil
she died of
Spector
lung
murdered
cancer.
her.
No, really? Oh
Yeah,
my
when he was on
God.
trial in the 2000s for a murder,
That was one
it
of the
was
people.
her,
It was her, the
the
lady that
cigarette
was the
box
cigarette
girl.
box dancer.
Yeah.
Oh, that's horrible.
Hmm. Yeah, when you know him in trial with the big hair, that was
Yeah.
for he shot her in his home.
Oh my God. Oh, gee, I
Yeah.
didn't know that. Oh,
Hmm.
okay.
But yeah, I
Well,
guess
now
she that was this was her first movie, but then she did a bunch of
other things where you actually saw something, you saw her face.
yeah,
Yeah. In
she's in
case
like
y'all don't know,
fast.
folks, she just wears a cigarette box. The only thing you see are her legs.
She did a
So,
lot of what Wikipedia describes as sword and sorcery movies. She was also in
oh,
like Fast Times at Ridgemont High, but
oh, oh,
and
okay.
did a lot
Oh,
of like guest starring roles on TV. But yeah, then Phil Spector killed her in
hmm.
2000 something, 2003.
Crazy, crazy people, person. So,
Yes. So, well, not rest in peace to Phil Spector. Rest in peace to Lana Clarkson
yes,
and
very much
Ronnie
so. And
Spector,
Ronnie, I was going to say, and Ronnie, yeah.
who also
So,
had to deal with him.
yes, that madness although he did create the big, what was it, the big wall of sound? It was,
Yeah. So,
I know, take the good with the bad. So,
I almost said the exact same phrase.
so anyway, so yep. So this was, like I said, one of my favorite movies. It to me, it's lighthearted and stuff, and it does poke fun of that genre of the
Mm.
variety show and stuff like that. And it is kind of loosely based on a sort of supposedly a true incident or time that of back in the 50s. So,
Hmm.
but and like I said, to again, when I watched these movies for the first time, I knew who Peter O'Toole was. I
Hmm.
didn't know who Lainie Kazan was. There was a couple other people, but other than that, like Mark Lynn Baker, who's in it, this was his first movie, so you never knew you didn't know what was going to happen, and it's
Yeah.
the start of his career. You and I spoke briefly before we started about a couple of the other characters who were young and started out doing this,
Hmm.
so and they've gone on to do other things,
Yep. Yep.
so it's always nice to look back to me and oh, this is where this began, or this is where they got noticed, or whatever it may be. So
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
so, but anyway, so
Yeah. It's interesting to me too. This movie it's sort of like sometimes they use the word like quiet for a movie where there's not like crazy big dramatic things happening. And this feels like that. Obviously,
mm,
it is a little more dramatic than like maybe your average kind of day-to-day life comedy, but it is like pretty like
Mm-hmm.
straightforward, I guess, in terms of like action. But it was nominated for like Peter O'Toole's nominated for an Academy Award. It was nominated for multiple Golden Globes for Peter O'Toole, Lainie Kazan, and then the movie was nominated too, which is just it's always interesting for me to consider like I don't know that a movie like this would be nominated for stuff now.
I agree.
Like it's like it has to be so like big and serious and like so much, right? And like
Mm-hmm.
this is just like a pretty straightforward comedy of like got to get this drunk guy ready for the show. Like the that's the goal.
um, what was the one with years later? Get him to the
Get him to the Greek.
get him to the Greek. It was
Hmm.
just, that's the same sort of premise. But you're
Yeah.
right. That movie got sort of this movie. I always like to think of them as small movies. It's
Yes.
like
Hmm.
it's not a like you said, it's not a big production, but there are a lot of things. There's the subplot with a gangster. There's the
Mm.
budding love story between two of the characters.
Hmm.
There's the development of Peter O'Toole's character, his sort of like, there's all these little things playing and but they all seem to move seamlessly. There's no to me nothing felt forced,
Yeah.
and they saw all sort of intertwined, with each other. He's Peter O'Toole's teaching Mark Lynn Baker how to, you know, romance and and
Hmm.
and in turn Peter O'Toole sort of gets a life lesson and then that
Yeah.
sort of thing. So
Hmm.
um
hmm Yeah. He gets a
and
little
then there
little
are
vote of
funny moments.
confidence.
Yeah, you know um yeah, some of the and there is a lot of there is physical comedy, which I thought
Hmm.
was really really pretty funny, and Mark Lynn Baker I think showed he was pretty adept at that. So
Yeah. Yeah. The part with the hose.
and in the restaurant with the
Oh yes.
where he has to create a distraction. So
Hmm. Hmm.
but anyway, we'll get our listeners on board here in a little bit about the specifics, but
Indeed.
yeah.
Indeed. So.
So anyway, so yeah, thank you for I appreciate your take on that. That's the way I kind of liked it, was or thought of it, was a kind of a little movie that was recognized for some of the people that were in it and some of the things
Mhm.
that are brought out. So, but yeah,
Yeah.
you're right.
Yeah.
I don't know if a movie like this would really get noticed anymore.
Hmm. I
You know,
don't know. I
not
mean, I don't honestly don't know if a movie like this would get made anymore. They don't make a lot of like they make like the smallest like in weird indie movies or like a blockbuster and
right.
like
The big.
that's there's not a lot of in between. There's not as much in between these days as there used to be. This would go on like Netflix. It would be on a streamer.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, maybe because the cost of production's so high anymore, and that you can't make a movie, for a medium amount of money. It's either, like you
Hmm.
said, a very tiny amount of money, or it's a huge amount of money. So,
Hmm. Hmm.
but
Yeah.
anyway, good point.
Yeah. So this movie was directed by Richard Benjamin, who was both a director and an actor. So he acted like in things like Goodbye Columbus, Catch 22, Portnoy's Complaint, the 1970s movie Westworld. Other movies he directed included City Heat, Milk Money, on my list, Mermaids, also on my list, The Money Pot, Made in America. It was written by Norman Steinberg and Dennis Palumbo. Dennis Palumbo's name is not a link on Wikipedia, so I can't tell you what else he wrote.
Oh, okay.
But Norman Steinberg also co-wrote a bunch of things like Blazing Saddles.
Ooh.
He wrote the story for Johnny Dangerously, Yes Giorgio, Funny About Love, Wise Guys. Um,
Oh,
so
okay.
it's
So
definitely
some
some
good
other
comedies. I mean,
comedies. Yeah,
mm-hmm.
yeah, and I guess he's also familiar with Mel Brooks, who produced this movie.
Makes sense. Yep.
Yeah, yeah, and so. Well, before we get into it, do you want to talk a little bit about the inspiration for the movie, the real?
Oh, okay. So it's a parody. So back in the 50s, there was a show called Your Show of Shows with Sid Caesar, who
Mhm.
Joseph Bologna's character, King Kaiser, is a play on that, especially with his name, King Kaiser, and Caesar, Sid Caesar. But during the 50s, um, Errol Flynn, who was, hopefully people know who Errol Flynn was, but back in the
Mhm.
30s and the 40s, he was like one of the swashbucklers and did westerns. He was like the big heartthrob and the
Mhm.
the leading guy on the movie screen, along with Clark Gable and those. But in the 50s, his lifestyle really started to catch up with him, and he was an alcoholic and wasn't doing a lot of things. And he was given an opportunity to be on Sid Caesar's show. Sid Caesar, I think, was a fan, and then brought him on. And then this is sort of a takeoff of that supposedly the story was like this, that he had to do it for the money because he owed the IRS money.
Mm,
Or he was here on he was in the United States on a work visa. He really was from New Zealand, I believe.
mm,
Was his nationality, Errol Flynn's. But so anyway, so that's where it's sort of a play on that, whether or not any or all of it's true or whatever, but that's what it's loosely based on, according to what I read and what the story was behind the movie. So
nice, nice.
I never saw Errol Flynn on. I did. I've only seen like old clips of your show of shows because it was on during the 50s, and I don't know if any of those recordings actually, how many of them actually exist. So I think I've seen stills and maybe bits and pieces of Errol Flynn doing a bit on there, and I think he plays like a hobo or something. But
Hmm.
you can tell he's sort of gone to seed. He's
Mm-hmm.
overweight and he's
Mm-hmm.
very puffy looking. So he
Yeah.
looks like he's the bottle, and I think he died early.
Mm.
Early on. So, but we know Sid Caesar from,
Greece. Yeah.
yeah,
Coach Calhoun.
exactly.
Um,
So yeah,
but yeah, I'm reading too that so obviously like Peter O'Toole's character is inspired by Errol Flynn.
Errol Flynn. Yeah.
King Kaiser is inspired by Sid Caesar. The main character, Benji, is inspired by both Mel Brooks and Woody Allen.
Sorry, I forgot. Yeah,
Yeah. And then
as the junior writer. So,
and one of the other writers who we don't see a ton of, but there's a writer who doesn't like really talk. He whispers to another writer to say his ideas because he doesn't want to yell over the din. And apparently that was inspired based by Neil Simon, a
oh, I
writer we
didn't.
have met with Jim's last pick, The Goodbye Girl. He because he was another staff writer on that show and he didn't want to yell over the din, so he would whisper,
I did not
uh,
know that. So, look at you
according to Carl Reiner.
doing your great detective work as always.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I'm reading the Wikipedia page. It's
even still,
nothing too
like I said,
crazy.
every time that we talk about even a movie that I pick and that I think I know, I learn something new from you.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. But also for people who are like, oh, is this like Errol Flynn? Apparently this is like very fictional. They didn't even really like the writers didn't even really talk to Errol Flynn like that. So this is just sort of like what if they let their imaginations run wild, which I hope.
I,
I don't know. I guess Errol Flynn was dead by the time this movie came out.
oh yeah, yeah, he died early.
Oh
So,
yeah, he died in 1959. So
yeah, I was going to say probably not too long after this supposedly took place or that he
yeah,
appeared on
that
the end.
makes
Yeah,
sense. Oh yeah, and he's got
unfortunately.
the same like little mustache that Peter O'Toole has in this movie. Um,
Well, even
but
some
yeah.
of the names of the fictional movies that they talk about are sort of takeoffs. Like
Mhm.
Captain Blood is one of Errol Flynn's movies instead of Captain of Tortuga, and
Mm,
and Errol Flynn was like in like some of these other things and so on and so forth, and it was sort of like a takeoff on all his movies.
makes
That
sense.
that as Benji and Peter O'Toole say later on in the movie, that silly goddamned hero.
Yes. But yeah, because Errol Flynn played like Robin Hood and stuff. Like he was in like the original Robin Hood movie in like the
Played
30s.
Custer, played like I said, he was always he was in Captain Blood. He was a pirate, I think. He played in a couple of westerns where a guy that talks like Errol Flynn is supposed to be a cowboy. Just saying, no different from
Meet
Cary
me.
Grant trying to be an American. So, but I'm just
Meet me at high noon for a duel.
yes. Um, yeah, so played a lot of like I said, swashbuckling.
Yeah,
So
for sure. Well, shall we get into the movie?
let's give it its due course.
So it opens. It takes place in New York City. We're in bustling downtown. Over the sort of opening scene, we hear Stardust by Nat King Cole. Lovely.
Yeah,
Uh, the
classic.
lovely dulcet tones of Nat King Cole. And the narrator, who is our main character, Benji Stone, lets us know that it is 1954 and that this was his favorite year. And he talks a little bit about the 50s, like the cars and how people were dressed and kind of, sort of reminiscing on that time.
I even wrote
And
down that you could tell the cars apart, just by the way they looked, and they didn't
mhm,
have like model names per se. It was a Buick or it was a Chevrolet or if it was a Plymouth or,
mhm,
it was like, see the new Plymouth, of 1954. And it was, but they all had different, very distinctive looks. So
mhm, mhm. And he talks about like loving comedy and live TV. And we learn that he's a writer on Comedy Cavalcade with King Kaiser. Um, and that his favorite movie star, Alan Swan, is the guest that week. Before we go, Benji Stone is played by Mark Lynn Baker, who, besides this movie, was, I think, most known for being the main character on the TV show in the 80s, Perfect Strangers. So, him and Bronson Pinchot.
mhm.
But he's had like recurring roles in a lot of other television shows. Just some that like he did several episodes of Blue Bloods. He did some episodes of Succession. He was a member of the Pierce family on Succession, if you're a Succession person.
Oh, I didn't know
Um,
that. Okay.
he was a client on She-Hulk Attorney at Law, which I think is probably what I recognize him from.
Oh, I do remember that because I watched that.
Because he was this
Yeah,
sort of like meek dude who was trying to like
yeah,
sue a woman or something, and she was
yeah.
going
I
up against
remember
him.
that.
So yeah, Mark Lynn Baker. So the Comedy Cavalcade show is broadcast from NBC Studios at 30 Rockefeller Plaza, which they call 30 Rock. I was like, wow. I
Even
maybe
back
it may,
then.
right, yeah. I've heard of that. Um and he we are sort of following him as he's been getting food for the writers room, and he goes back and um he, of course, the head writer is a guy named Cy Benson, and he's just like complaining about the food he got and like, where's this? And he's like, oh, they didn't have that, so I got you a bear claw. And he's like, ah, where's my bag?
Where's my some sort of cake or something like that? He goes, well, they didn't have
Like
any of that.
crumb cake or something,
Crumb
or
cake,
coffee
yeah,
cake. Yeah.
yeah. And of course, the first thing he does is grab a cup and he starts drinking and he spits it out. He goes, what is this? He goes, that's so and so's tea. Who you just now spit all over, and drink out of. So
Yeah, yeah. And so they're preparing for Alan Swan to come. They're watching clips from his movies, and Cy is like, these are so dumb. But Benji's like into it. Benji's a huge fan. He's like, "Oh, this is Captain Tortuga," and like da da da, like reciting lines. He knows all of it.
exactly. And I like how they're watching the films. It's on the old film projector, the
Mm-hmm.
16 millimeter or whatever, like you used to see at in my high school in the school library. If you wanted to watch a film, that's what we used. We ran the film projector. So,
Oh.
and you could rent movies like that from the public library because my friends and I used to do that in high school. We'd go rent like movies like Stagecoach and stuff from 1939, but it would be on the reel to reel. You'd rent a projector and you'd rent the film, and then you'd show it on you take it home and show it on the wall or hang a sheet up and do that. So we used to do that when we were in high school. So yeah, this was
Absolutely.
before videotapes. If you wanted to see a movie, you either had to wait for them to show it on TV or you had to go rent the film from the library. So
There you go. And they talk about Swan. They don't know where he is, just that he is out, quote, drinking and humping.
well,
Cut two.
that's size
That's
guess. Is that
size,
yeah, that
size,
assumption that yeah.
educated guess. Correct guess. Because cut two, Swan wakes up in a bed with a teddy bear and a woman who is making just a truly pain noise. She's like, had a rough night.
evidently. So,
Cy was correct. We just get that little brief glimpse of Swan just to confirm that he was. And then we're back at 30 Rock. In the writer's room, besides Cy and Benji, we also have Alice, so female writer, woohoo. And then another writer named Herb, who pretty much only talks through Alice. He whispers things to her to say to the rest of the room. Um, Cy Benson is played by the actor Bill Macy, who was on the TV show Maude with B. Arthur. He was also in the movie The Jerk, and in
yeah,
The Holiday.
he
He was in The
passed away.
Holiday.
He was 97 years old
Oh, he
when
just
he
died in
passed.
2019.
Yeah. He was funny on Maud. I used to watch that show.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah, no, it's a good one. Um,
yes.
and then Alice was played by Anne DeSalvo, who was in Stardust Memories, Arthur. She had recurring roles in a lot of TV shows like Taxi, Cheers, that kind of stuff. The other writer named Herb, he is played by Basil Hoffman. Basil Hoffman. I guess Basil would probably be a
I don't know.
um,
Although it's, yeah, I guess so. Cause like Basil Rathbone. So,
yeah, yeah. So he did a lot of television shows. He was on The Twilight Zone, Barney Miller, Kojak, MASH.
oh, he was on Square Pegs.
Hmm.
He was the principal.
Oh yeah. He's in All
That
the
was a,
President's Men too.
that was a short-lived, but also a very critically acclaimed show.
I know of it.
Square Pegs. That's with
Yeah.
Sarah Jessica Parker,
Aha. Yes. I knew there was
Jamie
someone
Gertz.
in it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, we get to kind of follow Benji around a little bit around kind of the floor of 30 Rock, meet some of the other folks. There's um Casey, who's the assistant to the producer, is talking to Lil, the costumer, and Benji goes in there to hit on Casey.
Yeah.
He's like, "Oh, when are we going out together?" And she's like, "Leave me alone. What are you talking about?"
Yeah, he keeps talking like there's a relationship, and she says, there's nothing here. There's nothing going
Yeah.
on." Yeah, I don't
What
know.
are you talking about?
Yeah,
What
this you've
relationship?
dreamed all this up. So,
Exactly, exactly. Casey's played by Jessica Harper, who was in Suspiria, like the original Suspiria, Phantom of Paradise, Love and Death, Pennies from Heaven, more recent movies like Bones and All and Night Bitch. She was also in like the Gary Shandling show, done a lot of like TV work too. And Lil, the costumer, is played by Selma Diamond, who was actually also one of the writers on Sid Caesar Show of Shows with all these other folks. She also was known for being on Night Court, the first season. Back to Swan in the bed with the ladies. He doesn't know. The women are like, "What time is it?" And he's like, he doesn't know, and he doesn't wear a watch because he doesn't like it. And turns out there's another woman. There's one woman in the bed, then there's another woman. They
well,
appear to be maybe the flight attendants
that's what I was going to say. I
from
think they're
his
flight
flight.
attendants, and one is evidently either getting ready to go to work or just came home from work or whatever. But yeah, she tells him what time it is. I think, doesn't she? Yeah, because
Yeah,
yeah.
because she's like, I got to go.
Yeah.
um, let's see. Back at the studio, they're kind of doing read throughs of some of the material that they've written. Cy wrote a monologue for King, uh, and he will not do it because it's not good. Um, And Sai's like, oh, okay. Because even before King came out, Sai's like kind of talking up his monologue.
Right.
And other people, he's dismissing anyone else's criticism.
Yeah, and he says, "Oh, this is great. It's funny." And they said, "Well, King doesn't like it." And he goes, "Well, he goes, I'm going to stand firm. The word is funny, and I wrote this, and I know it's funny." And then King comes in
King
and
comes
gives
out and
his
he's like,
opinion.
it's not good. And Sai's like, okay.
We're not married to it. I love that. So,
Yeah.
by the way, that I still use the line, "We're not married to that." So it's so yeah, I wrote down he's Captain Wishy Washy. So
Yes. And King, well, he's at the top of the hierarchy in the writer's room, but King Kaiser ranks above him, and so he can kind of knock him down to size very easily. Of course, then King is like steps to the side with Casey, and he's like, I feel like I was a little harsh there, maybe. I need to get it. Can you get him a gift from me to make it up? Get him some new tires.
and we can hear Cy can hear him, and he's like, "Oh, I'm getting new tires." And then he goes, "Make them white walls," and he gives her like another bill. White
Yes.
walls, I'm getting white walls. You know,
Listen, as someone who just had to pay for new tires for
I,
my car, I take it. I'll
I
take it.
I had not thought of that till just now when you said that, and I forgot you told me that. Yeah, so like if somebody offered to buy your tires for you, you exactly, yeah,
Bring it
bring it on.
on.
That's right. Yeah, even if they were white walls, which now you may not see back in the day, if you had to pay extra for white walls.
Mm.
Do you know what the white
I
walls?
think
That's
with the white, I
white
can like
showing on
picture
the
it.
outside because
Yeah.
now I don't even know if they make them anymore. But
But yeah, so King is making it up to Sai. He'll get over it. Um, and then the writers are back in the writers' room watching clips of the movies again, I guess to get ideas for the sketch that they'll write for him. And who should burst in but Alan Swan himself? And my man is 3 sheets to the wind,
and
wasted.
well, as Cy said, he's plastered.
Yes.
I wonder where
And
that expression comes from, plastered, being drunk. I've heard that, but
I don't know.
I don't know either.
Probably
So
because you like fall. You're like plastered against the wall.
maybe, yeah. But yeah,
I don't know.
he's he does look
Wasted.
rather dashing though.
He does. But
He
he can't like stand upright of his own volition. Uh, and then this part did make me laugh out loud because he's like, I'm not drunk. I couldn't do this. And he does a forward roll onto the table where he promptly passes out. So once he's like laid out fully on his back, he's just passed out,
is
limp.
out.
They do check and he is alive.
Yeah,
It,
somebody is who says there's a heartbeat, or I have a
yes,
heartbeat or something. So
yes. I
it
don't know
was
why, but
funny.
it just made me think of this like viral video where there's like an older, like a sort of middle-aged older man in what appears to be a mall, and he goes, "I bet you can't do this on concrete." And he tries to do a front flip, but he like hits his head on the ground and just is like
Oh God.
falls down, presumably alive, but it reminded me of that. Anyways, and they come to the driver, whose name is it's like Alfie.
Alfredo
Yes,
Bonicelli.
yes. They're like, Alfie, what happened? And so apparently he was classified as freight. Like, what took you so long to get here? He was classified as freight on the flight.
There was the mix up at the airport. That's what he said. He was classified as freight because evidently he was too drunk to get through or to answer any questions. So, and unfortunately, we have the guy's name that played Alfie, but there's no link, so we don't know anything about him. So,
Yeah. Tony Di Benedetto. Shout out
as
to
Alfie
him.
Bomicelli.
Yes. So, and he also says Mr. Swan wanted to make some stops on the way to the hotel. We can probably guess where those stops were. Purveyors of liquor and women.
More than likely. Although
Um,
evidently maybe he was conscious enough to make an acquaintance of one of the flight attendants, if
yes,
not both
indeed.
of them. So I don't know,
Indeed.
but
Indeed. So maybe he already had the women. He just needed the liquor. And at this point, King Kaiser is like, we have to replace him. He can't be on the show. And Benji, who again, as we established, is like a big fan, is like, you can't replace him. This is Alan Swan. You can't replace Alan Swan. And then they're like, okay, we'll give him another chance. But you, Benji Stone, you are responsible for him. He needs to be here at every rehearsal sober. And immediately Cy is like, oh, I bet you. Cy's betting against him, literally.
It's like a
Um,
week's salary or something like
yeah.
that. He's like, yeah. So
And Swan wakes up just to increase the bet. He's like, I bet for the young man, and then passes out again.
he immediately goes right out again. So
Yes. And meanwhile, as we had alluded to the sort of subplot. So King Kaiser, who we haven't talked about, he's played by Joseph Bologna, who was an actor in a bunch of things. He was in things like Blame It on Rio, Transylvania 65000, Made for Each Other, Jersey Girl. I know him as Lenny Koufax uh, from Big Daddy, who is it's Adam Sandler's character's dad, who
okay.
like testifies against him,
I got you.
like says like you
Okay.
cannot raise a kid. So yeah, Lenny Koufax. That's
Got it.
uh that's who he is to me. Because I was like, I know this man's face. Adam Sandler's dad and Big Daddy. So anyways, King has been making fun of this local like labor boss who is of he's like a labor boss, but he's a labor boss of like the Jimmy Hoffa variety.
Yeah.
It's giving mafia, right? It's like a little protection racket kind of thing. So he has to, and his name is Carl Rojek, but they call him Boss Rojek. And the in the sketch, it's like Boss
Hijack.
Hijack. Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And it's like it's very silly and like slapstick and has him like busting through a wall and like beating up guys and stuff like that in this like very exaggerated this like zoot suit with like the most exaggerated shoulders you've ever seen.
And the big hat, like the big
Yes.
gangster hat, and
Uh-huh.
yeah.
Uh-huh. So the boss Roderick is there with his lawyer and he wants to sue and the producer Leo Silver is like, he seems open to like acquiescing because this is sort of a powerful guy. And King Kaiser is like, "No, we're going to keep doing the sketch." And then boss is like, "Oh, okay. Well, we'll see what happens." And he like throws something out the window.
Oh, it's like the thing like with King Kaiser's face on it, like a poster for the show or
Yes.
whatever. Yeah, he
He
says if
throws it
things
out the
bother
window.
me, I just get rid of them, and then he
Yes. He throws it out the window and it apparently causes a an auto accident because it was just like
yeah,
like
horns, yeah.
and King is undeterred and he picks up a coat which happens to be his boss Leo Silver's coat and he tosses it out the window and also seems to cause another accident because we hear more like
Yeah.
and he's like come get me then and they the lawyer and Leo Silver have to like keep them apart as they're trying to fight. But yeah, King Kaiser is like, I don't care. Threaten me if
Yeah,
you want.
he's not scared, and I do like when Boss Rojak leaves, he puts on the other hat, King Kaiser's
Yes.
prop hat, which is like two
Mhm.
sizes too big for him, and walks out with this big huge hat on his head, and they don't stop him. Nobody says, "Oh, you got the wrong hat." So
Benji is going with Alfie and Alan Swan to his hotel room. Swan is being transported to his hotel room by being strapped to his suitcase. So he's got like the two suitcases on like a little dolly like cart, and he is strapped to them, and he's humming. Is it the William Tell overture?
it's the Anvil song, dun, dun, dun,
Yeah.
dun, 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 whatever. I think
Hmm.
that's the name of it. Is the but
Okay.
yeah, and then but he's like like doing it in time to the thump of the dolly on the stairs. Although I wonder, do they not have an elevator in this hotel? They can't get him up to the room in an elevator. I'm just saying. So,
Yeah, I don't know.
although
I guess
maybe he was in a penthouse,
some of those old
yeah, maybe the old hotels.
yeah.
But
He's just they get him up there. He's still drunk and can't stand up straight. And Benji like ties his hands to a coat hook. And he's like, Alan Swan is back in the movies. He's like reciting lines like he's being held captive in Captain Tortuga or whatever.
Lash me. He goes, I'll not, you'll not loosen my tongue. And, and Benji's like, oh, that's from, yeah, like Captain Tortuga or
Yeah.
whatever, or, what, and, and then he says he's blind because his hat falls over his eyes. And he says, I'm blind. I can't see.
And then the driver, Alfie, helps him to undress. He's wearing a tearaway suit.
Calls it his drunk suit.
Yes. And then, Benji like steps out and then, you know, not long after, he's all sobered up.
Well, we see him. They're looking for his booze because he says he always hides extra bottles, and he's pulling
Mm,
bottles. By the way, the liquor, in case it's pinch scotch, and the reason they call it pinch is because the bottle looks like it's pinched,
mm.
but that's the brand of it. So, but yeah, he has these huge, like, 2 liter bottles in his coat and in his suitcase. And then he goes, well, that's the last of it. And then they leave him in the tub, and he's sitting there drinking out of a miniature in the tub. So, but yeah, you're right. A little bit later on, we see him, and he's all spiffy.
Yeah, he's in like a new suit, looking very fancy. He is grateful to Benji for standing up for him and for being honest. And he's like, "Let's go have dinner at the Stork Club," which appears to be like a
Yeah,
fancy place. We go, he's talking to Benji, he's read the sketch, which he's doing a Three Musketeers theme sketch. And Benji wrote it, and he compliments Benji on that. I also like he's got the long
oh, the
cigarette
cigarette
holder.
holder. Yeah, looking very dapper.
Yes. I always think
Although
of
his hair,
Cruella
his
DeVille.
his hair looks kind of odd. It's
It's
kind of like it,
yes.
it. It looks like a wig, but
It
it's
does.
sort of.
Also, he looks very tan in this movie.
He does. He's also
He's got
very
his
thin.
he's got his Lawrence of Arabia tan on
It,
in this
it's
movie.
it, it exactly. So, but then, like, when they put him in the tub, I mean, he's in his underwear, but he looks very scrawny. So,
Hmm.
I mean,
Yes.
Peter O'Toole was very thin anyway.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but anyway, yeah. So
Um, so he this appears to be a place he's been at more than once because he sees at another table there's a beautiful woman with a man, and he asks the waiter, who she is, and the waiter's like, "This is exactly what happened last time, Mr. Swan."
oh no, no, let's not do this again. Yeah, it's
Yes.
yeah. His
So
reputation precedes him.
indeed. But he talks to Benji about all of his marriages and who his actual true love was and so on. And then an old man comes over and says that he and his wife are celebrating their anniversary, and he would love it like if he just had a second to kind of stop by and say hello to his wife. And he does him one better and comes to dance with her.
The true
Little do
gentleman.
they know, this is all part of a scheme because he puts Benji on the case to uh create a distraction so that he can get the woman he thought was beautiful, get her husband away from her so he can swoop in. Um
The
the
woman,
next
by the way, is much younger. You can see, than Mr. Swan.
Yes. Although to
Probably
be fair,
closer to Benji's age.
yes, the man she was with not a
Oh no, yeah,
also was much older and not super attractive
yeah,
either.
yeah. Sort of looked like
Um
a bum. Well, he wasn't a bum.
yes.
He didn't look like a bum, but he had his suit on and stuff. But he just looked like one of those guys that, yeah, just kind of, maybe was not a nice guy. So,
Yeah. No.
not like Alan.
Of course.
Yeah.
We don't get to see all of what happens, but we know that the next day at work, they're reading the newspaper and there's an article that indicates that Mr. Swan was found swimming in the fountain at Central Park.
Naked.
Naked. Yes. And Benji's like, "It's fine."
With the girl.
Yes. Yeah.
There's a
So
picture. There's a
he was
picture of them in,
successful.
in, in the fountain.
Benji's like, "It's all good. The cops are just treating it like a parking ticket. So it's fine." And then Swan comes in, sober and ready to
Mm-hmm.
work. And they're going to rehearse the Musketeer sketch, but the sets are missing. And so we're starting to see some of the uh, deviousness and interference from Boss Rojek.
Yeah,
So
because the
Benji.
producer tells him he tells King King goes, where are the sets? And he goes, well, since you asked, they can't be found. They're
Yeah.
on a truck, and because we're alluding to the Teamsters, I guess, and
Again, very Jimmy Hoffa.
they've disappeared. We can't find them. And then King goes nuts, and then finally his producer hits him in the head with the script, and King calms down. I do like the interaction. Is like King goes off and goes half cocked, and then the producer, I guess, knows how to keep him in check.
Get it together.
Yeah, exactly. And then King goes, "I'm going to go over here. I'm going to do this, and then we're going to read through the Three Musketeers sketch
Yes.
or whatever." So yeah, so
Uh,
he's like, okay, I'm a normal now, I'm normal, so
I'm back. I'm
I'm
back. I'm
back.
here. I'm ready to work. Benji gets a phone call. It's from his mother. We learn that his last name is really Steinberg, not Stone, which I think, many people of the era who had Jewish sounding last names changed them. And we also know that his mother, her name's Belle, she's married to a Filipino boxer, former boxer, I guess. Rock,
Former bantamweight champion.
yes. I forget his first name. Something
Rookie
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 Karoka.
Karoka.
Yes.
I can't roll my R's, so
Karoka.
there you go. That's it, folks.
So,
That's how Rookie pronounces his name.
yes. I feel like he just keeps, I feel like Benji keeps calling it karaoke. And it's like Karoka.
I think Benji does it on purpose, don't you?
Yes. Um, and she's the mom, Belle Karoka, is played by Lainie Kazan. So I think that's picture that when
Fabulous.
I she's
Fabulous.
very funny. She wants him to come for dinner, and he's like, I can't. I'm looking after Alan Swan. And she's like, ah, bring him. And he goes back to talk to Swan, and he is flirting with Casey. He's talking about her eyes and her beautiful eyes and blah blah blah
She
blah.
has Merle Oberon's eyes.
Oh yes. And then it becomes clear to Swan, he can read the room a little bit, like, oh, like Benji is into Casey. So he's like,
Yeah.
okay,
Yep.
I'll back up and let you go ahead. But he gives him some tips on pursuing Casey, on romance, and being like romantic and persistent and all this stuff. And Benji follows her in. He's trying to follow her, and she decides she's going to try to ditch him by going into the ladies' room. Little does she know, he is undeterred, and he goes in there. And again, he acts like they have like an existing thing. And I was like, I don't think they. I wrote in my notes like it's unclear if they do? Question mark.
I don't think they've ever been on a date at this point, have they?
Yeah.
I always, and again, I alluded to this when we first started. This movie depicts the time of the 50s. So it's,
Hmm.
men were persistent, yes, probably to the detriment of society and to the women, but guys didn't take no for an answer all the time, just saying.
Hmm.
So, uh,
Yeah.
so I didn't pick this movie because of that, by the
Yeah.
way.
But he's like just going wild. He's talking about wanting to live together, and she's like, okay. And she just leaves. And then Lil, the costumer, is in there, and she's like, what are you doing? Get out. But thankfully Swan comes in, and he's suave enough that she doesn't seem to mind that he's there.
Well, there is a line, and I do love this because she goes, "Wait a minute, this is for ladies only," and he goes to use the bathroom. He goes, "So is this, but every now and then I have to run a little water through it." And she says, "Oh, okay." It's like,
Oh goodness. So but they leave, and Swan keeps giving Benji tips on romance. And finally, Benji actually asks Casey on a date. So it appears though that they eat at the studio.
I was because it's in the thing, but so because he leaves her like a little note and stuff, and
Hmm.
it almost reminded me a little bit of in The Goodbye Girl,
Oh
where
yeah, when
he
he says
he
to meet him on the roof.
meet him on the roof and he says, "Meet me," whatever, and then please, I'm sorry, I was stupid and stuff, and then yeah, and then we cut to, I guess it's in one of the rooms there at the studio. So
Yeah, it looked like it because then they start watching
yeah,
more of
along with
Swan's movies.
30 cartons of Chinese food.
Chinese food. And he's like teaching her about Chinese food because she doesn't know, but he's like, "Well, I'm Jewish, so there's one thing I know, it's Chinese food." Or he says there's two things I know. I forget the other
It,
one.
guilt.
Guilt.
Yeah,
Guilt and good
guilt
Chinese food.
and good Chinese. Yeah, and he's
So,
explaining like all the dumplings and the dim
yeah.
sum and the
He
sauces
starts
and
talking to her about how to use chopsticks and he's like, "Hold them like this," and then he throws them and then you grab a fork because who has the time?
right.
And then they have a nice conversation. They're talking about comedy and how like everybody's funny and she's like, "I don't think I'm funny." And he tries to help her tell a joke to learn how to be funny and it's probably not for her.
Yeah. He's right. She's not fun, or she's right. She's not
She's
funny.
not funny,
So
yeah.
yeah,
Then
unfortunately.
yeah, they watch one of Swan's movies and Benji knows all the lines and he's like reciting them and then they do end up kissing. So it's almost like if you actually ask the person out on a date, things might go well instead of just pursuing them as if you were already in a relationship.
When she even says, she goes, after they talk and stuff, she goes, "I like this person. This person I
Yeah.
like." She goes, "The other one, the crazy one that, and stuff, that's too much." And then
Yeah.
so yeah, so he sort of, you know, maybe he beats himself. Listen to me talk. He sort of shows what he's really like, and she likes
Hmm.
that person. So
Yeah. Yeah.
so maybe Alan knew what he was talking about.
Hmm. He knows a little something. Speaking of Alan, we see him at rehearsal for the Musketeer sketch, sober and killing it.
Yeah, and like knows these lines, and
Yes.
he's got it all together, and yeah, just I think he's wearing a smoking jacket too. It looks like
Hmm.
or sort of like a robe thing or whatever, but it's
Yeah.
not like.
Yeah.
But he's still very maybe an
Yes.
ascot. So
He's
he
not in
yeah,
full costume yet, but he's got the hat on. They're
the
rehearsing
hat,
in the
yeah,
hat, in the
yeah,
Musketeer hat. And King compliments him and he admits that he was wrong about him, right? Like, "Oh, you like I'm glad we didn't replace you," kind of thing.
yeah,
And then a
and he
light.
even admits he's a fan.
Yeah, yeah,
You know,
yeah.
yeah.
Then a light almost falls on King. Once again, it's definitely Rojek. And the producer Leo is like, "You can't do the Boss Hijack sketch." And King is like, "No, I'm doing it."
He's even more determined, yeah, that and he acts like, yeah, like, oh, it's fine, I'm good, but yeah, you're right, it just barely misses him. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's like in Drop Dead Gorgeous
yeah,
when the light
exactly,
falls on the one girl who
right.
wants it, but it made her deaf, so she was happy.
She was, I forgot about that.
But it was supposed to fall on Kirsten Dunst. Uh, anyways,
I'm beginning to see
um,
a familiar theme amongst all of our picks. Like, I think some of our movies have similar instances. So
yeah,
I'm, yeah,
there's some darkness here. I will
yeah.
also say I didn't say Leo Silver is played by Adolph Green. He was born in 1914, so before we knew.
It's just don't see many kids named Adolf anymore.
No,
Just saying.
he was
So
born before all that.
yeah.
But he primarily was a an American lyricist and playwright. So he wrote a lot of
Oh,
screenplays and songs for musicals, both on
really?
Broadway and in the movies. Yeah, he collaborated a lot with Betty Comden. So
Oh, okay.
he's
Oh
got
my.
Tonys and Oscars and Grammys and Songwriters Hall of Fame and stuff.
Oh
So,
yeah. He wrote The Bandwagon. It's Always Fair Weather.
mhm.
My goodness, yeah. So,
Yeah, On the Town, Peter Pan.
hmm oh, and he partnered with Gene Kelly, Vincent Minnelli.
Hmm.
Man, that's
Yeah,
great. Okay. Good for him.
they wrote Singin' in the Rain. He worked on Singin' in the
Oh.
Rain. So yeah, him
Oh,
and Betty Comden wrote Singin' in the Rain. So
he also wrote for Peter Pan,
yeah.
the original,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
Applause.
Yeah. So
Nice. Yeah. Gee,
He did pretty well. I mean, honestly, even if you
what a
just had
talented guy.
he co-wrote Singing in the Rain, like you're pretty solid there.
Exactly. I agree. Yeah. So,
So, anyways, he plays Leo Silver. So, Benji is taking Alan Swan to Brooklyn for dinner at his mom's, and Brooklyn then not as nice. Now Brooklyn is like a destination. People like celebrities live in Brooklyn, right? People want
oh,
to go to
yeah.
Brooklyn. Not at this time.
Well, even Alan asked him, or Alan Swan goes, "Tell me of this faraway land called Brooklyn." And he goes, "It's not like anything else you've ever seen."
Yes. And of course, like they go there and the word has spread a little bit, at least within the family to begin with. And we'll see that it has spread much farther by the end of dinner. But his Uncle Morty is there, and then Aunt Sadie is coming. And strangely enough, Alan Swan recognizes Rookie from his fighting days, which just does feel seems like it feels very validating to him because like Benji's always very dismissive. So he's like, "Oh my God."
Yeah,
Like
he goes, I knew a wicked bantamweight or knew, named Rookie Kuroka, back in Los Angeles, saw him fight Sailor Donovan or something like that. And it was like, and that
Rookie's
was
like,
me. Yeah, that was
"Oh
me,
my God."
yeah. I know Alan's like the man of the world, he's like the most interesting man in the world, like the Dos Equis commercial. So,
He is. And
he's
people are showing out for him because
mm,
Benji's mom, Belle, comes in all dressed up. She does look
dolled up,
lovely, just dolled up, but like in her fanciest wear. She's trying to speak
lovely.
French, but she's wrong. Benji's like, Mom, that is not how you say
Yeah,
it. Like,
he
what are you
says
talking
2 years at the Sorbonne and she still gets it wrong. It's
about?
like,
And then Aunt Sadie comes in a wedding dress.
and Belle, like, Sadie, you look so lovely. What a gorgeous dress. I only wore it once.
uh,
You got to admit some of the lines are really
they're
good.
funny. They're funny. And then we get to dinner,
Oh
and Rookie
God.
has cooked. And he's they're all eating this meatloaf that he made, and they're like, "Oh, what is in this meatloaf?" There's parrot in the meatloaf. And
Sorry.
then
Sorry,
he's
folks. I love that part.
he's also made pork and beans, Filipino pork and beans, but without the pork for the Jewish people.
These are Jews. That's what he said.
Yes.
He goes, yeah, what did you use for pork? He goes, you can't use pork. These are Jews. And I did like, it's parrot. And he talks about how hard it is to get to parrots. There,
And everybody else is kind of just like, like spit it
parrot.
out. Like it just falls out of their mouth, you know? And then Uncle Benji is like, I have a question. Can I ask you a question? Or, I mean, Uncle Morty is like, Can I ask you a
More,
question? And Benji's like, No, you can't ask him anything personal. And he's like, It's not a personal question. I just have a question.
yeah.
And Swan is like, Oh, of course you can ask me. Of course you can ask me a question. And he's like, So how about that paternity case you had? And Swan is like, I had
Did you
nothing to do with it.
stupor? Yeah.
Did you stupor? I did not. I did no such thing.
By the way, Errol Flynn was accused of raping a underage girl, and that was. You ever heard the phrase "in like Flynn"?
Mm.
Maybe that's where that came from.
Oh.
From he was found innocent because it turns out that there was collusion. It was a trap set up by the girl and her mother, to trap him so that they would get money out of him.
Hmm.
So, but anyway, so that's sort of what that little incident is based
Aha.
on.
Aha.
So anyway,
Um, and the mom Belle is very familiar, right? She's calling him Al. She's calling him Swanee. And Benji's like, Mom, you cannot call him Al. His name is Alan Swan. Like, you cannot do that.
he's not a river.
Yes.
Like the Swanee River.
Then she's like, You need a home. You need a family. You need children. And he says that he actually has a daughter named Tess. She lives in Connecticut with her mother, and he doesn't see her often. And the mom is like, "Oh, you have a daughter and you don't see her? Oh goodness." Da, da, da.
What she said, and she goes, "Shame on you."
Hmm.
And he says, "You're right. Shame on me indeed."
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, because he knows that he should be a better father.
Hmm. Hmm. So eventually it's time to leave, and somehow the whole apartment building has learned that Alan Swan is there. So when they go out into the hallway, it is full of people. And they finally get out to the road, and there's a banner hanging
It's
saying,
building
like,
320 or something welcomes Alan Swan or
yes. And so Alan Swan and Benji get back in the limo, and Alan Swan asks for his medicine. Surprise, it's booze.
and Alfie has it, and he starts hammering it.
And
So
Benji's like, no, tomorrow is show day. And Swan's like, you should drink too. It's all good.
yeah,
And then he's like, we'll go to Casey's house because her parents are having a party. And they
I
can't.
wondered how Alan knew where she lived because
That's a good question. I mean, he was staring deep into her eyes when they were
he
having that
was. So maybe
conversation.
she gave
So
up the home address. So
maybe. Well, because they lived on like Park Avenue, or like it was like,
right in a big fancy apartment building.
mhm.
So
So they, but they don't like know exactly which one. They're not invited. So they're kind of
right,
crashing. So, um,
yeah, they're not sure what floor she's on.
yes. And Alan's like, have you done any mountain climbing or something?
Any mountaineering.
Yes, mountaineering. So they go to the roof and his plan is they're gonna rappel down to the balcony.
And Alan's hammered, by the way, at this point.
Yes.
He's true and
Yes.
truly
And
and well hammered.
you can see a party on a balcony shortly below. But once they get up on the roof, they're stuck up on the roof because the door
Yeah,
shut behind them.
blocks. Yeah.
And Benji's like freaking out. Swan is fallen down drunk. Like he cannot stand up straight. He's like, it always makes me think of that part when they first find the Tin Man
Oh,
and he's sort of leaning because he's not oiled up yet.
does like the Michael Jackson smooth
Yes.
criminal
Smooth criminal, exactly. Uh
maneuver. By the way,
that's
I'm sorry to break it to you folks, but the Tin Man did it first in Wizard of Oz. So
yes.
just
But
saying.
that's kind of what Alan Swan's doing here.
Yes.
And but he finds a fire hose that's like attached to the roof and he's like, "Great, we're going to rappel down with this." And Benji's like, "No, it is too dangerous." So he keeps trying to like try the doors to try to get back in. And he finally gets the door open as Swan has fallen over the edge of the roof with the hose tied around his waist. And Benji's like, "Oh, I killed him." And then he's sort of like overshot the balcony. So he's just below the balcony and there's two rich guys there and one of them's like, "I think Alan Swan is beneath us." And the other guy's like, "Of course he's beneath us. He's an actor." And he's like, "No, he is literally beneath us." And Benji runs down. He's gotten inside, so he runs down into the party and as people are kind of pulling Alan up, and it is the wrong apartment. This is not Casey's family's
Right, they're on the
party.
14th floor, which is what, one below or one above or something like
Yeah,
that.
something like that. And then Benji's like, I need to be sick.
Well, like
So,
Benji says, I think I'm going to be unwell, and
mhm.
Swan goes, "Women are unwell, men vomit."
Yes,
Got to keep up your standards now, young man.
of course, of course. So they go to the park so that Benji can be sick in the park.
Which
And
he
then
is.
he is, yes. And then eventually they're sort of walking and talking, and it's like dawn.
Right.
So they've been out for a minute, and it's show day. Once again, it is show day. And they're talking about their fake names. So Benji's real last name is not Stone, it's Steinberg, which is, as we learned earlier, again a common practice because I think he said he thought like stone like looked better like on screen or something.
on the screen, yeah,
And
in
Swan
the
has a
credits.
yes, exactly. Swan also has a whole fake name. Swan, his name is fake, and it's he's his whole persona, like his backstory and all of this, is fake.
Yeah, because his
And
real name, he says, is Clarence Duffy.
yes, and he's like Irish. He's like some Irish guy. He like gives sort of the real backstory.
Hmm.
Um, who like joined the military, but then decided he wanted to act or whatever. So then, oh no, I lost my place.
Oh, Errol Flynn was born in Tasmania. Sorry, not New Zealand,
Uh,
Tasmania.
it was close. Oceania, near Australia.
Near Australia, yeah.
So, and Swan, he said he kind of like doesn't even know what's real anymore, right? He's sort of like living this persona. He's been doing it for so long, and he's only
Hmm.
doing the show, as you mentioned earlier, because he owes a lot of money to the IRS, and he wants to get them off his back.
Yeah, because he has
And
to give
he's
half the money he gets from the show to the IRS.
yeah,
Yeah, to sort of appease them. So,
yes. And he talks about how he's fed up with people letting him get away with things because he's like, this actor and they just let him kind of roll all over them and
yeah.
be crappy to them basically. And then while he's on that self-reflective note, a mounted police officer steps off of his horse to go pee in the bushes, and Swan's like, "Let's go."
Yeah,
And
we've walked enough.
yes, he hops on and he yanks Benji up behind him, and they ride back to the hotel on this horse they stole from the police. And Benji wakes up at the hotel looking
Rough.
rather ragged. Yes, worse for the wear, as they say. And Swan has left him a note on the mirror that he's gone to see his daughter Tess. And of course, like Benji's in the sort of hungover haze and he doesn't really notice it. And so he leaves the bathroom and then he's like, oh, wait. And he like goes back and looks and he's like, oh no.
Because he wrote it in shaving cream or something, didn't he?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Went to go
And
see
then
Tess, which is in Connecticut, by
in
the way.
Connecticut, which is like
Yeah,
not that far, but still like it's another state.
right,
And we see it, and also he's just sitting in the car watching.
right.
He doesn't knock on the door. He doesn't talk to her. She comes out to like ride her bike around. And he just kind of sits there and looks at her, and then they drive away. And you can see that she noticed this limo just sitting on her street,
Right.
driving away. So I don't know that she knows that it's him, but certainly she's noticed this limo driving away. And so Benji has to go into the studio, into 30 Rock, and tell Leo like Swan is gone. And then uh it's show day, so I think this is just to show that there's a great deal of stress happening. So like they're all stressed, and then King comes in and he's like, "Why is this old sketch like? Why is my new sketch not in script?" And then they look, and it's like that's last week's script, King. And he's like, "Okay, you're right."
Again,
And
yeah, he opens his mouth before he thinks. So
yes,
yeah,
and then he's complaining about the food being served because like the last time they served whatever this dish was, the first sketch went wrong, and it's a whole thing. And then luckily, the driver, Alfie, comes in and is like, oh, Mr. Swan is here. He's just taking a nap. It's all
hmm,
good. And the driver tells Benji and Casey about taking him to see his daughter. And, they're kind of like, don't tell him I told you this, but like, he won't even like go talk to her. And,
yeah, he was afraid to
um,
get out of the car. So
yeah. And then we see Swan getting into his like wig and costume and stuff for the Musketeer sketch. And then King is dressed for the Boss Hijack sketch and he's mad. He's like, why did they have me in the wrong costume? And they're like, because you have to do the Boss Hijack sketch first. And Lil is like, he does this every single week.
every week, yeah, she's like, and Alan looks pretty dashing, I have to admit.
Yeah,
As
it's a
a
little Bob.
Yeah, like yeah, he's and the whole musketeer outfit and
Mhm.
stuff. So
hat with the big feathers and all.
Mhm.
And then in King's dressing room, he goes back and there's this big wreath that looks like a when you get at a funeral
Yeah. It's
that
got a black
says,
ribbon.
yeah, you it's like purple flowers, I feel
Oh,
like, with
maybe
like the black ribbon.
yeah, yeah.
It's like it's dark though, it's all dark. And
Right.
it says you asked for it.
Hmm.
Which is like, ugh, what's coming next? And
But
then
again, he's undeterred because he kicks it. He's
yeah,
like, yeah,
like they're doing the boss hijack sketch, period. It's happening. Um and then Swan and Benji are walking down the hallway getting ready, and Swan's kind of talking about like getting it in a few takes, and Benji's like, "Well, you're gonna have to get it on the first one, ha ha ha, since it's live." And he's like, Swan is like, "What?
like live.
Live? Like, yeah, there's an audience here and everything. So, yeah, like 2 million people are gonna watch this." And Swan is like freaking out, and he's like, "What? You're an actor?" And he's like, "I'm not an actor. I'm a movie star."
Yeah, he says I haven't done a live act. I haven't done live act or performed in front of an audience in like 20 some years or whatever.
Yes.
Like, yeah, so
I'm not an actor. I'm a movie star. He goes to his dressing room, and the cigarette box girl is there, and he kicks her
excuse me.
out.
Yeah, so
He has
because
to carry her box with her,
yeah,
because he just wants to be he just wants to drink, and then he says he's leaving. And Benji's running after him, and Sai is kind of taunting Benji, like, "Ha ha ha! I'm gonna win the
yeah,
bet." Um, Meanwhile, there's some like big, sort of thuggish looking dudes backstage, and King is now very paranoid. Like he's still sort of defiant, but he is very paranoid. And as he's sort of slinking around, Sai comes up behind him and he knocks him out.
he taps him on the shoulder and King just turns around and decks him. So and
Yeah.
sighs out like it falls into a big chair or whatever, but
Mm-hmm.
he's like
He's
he's out.
out
He's out.
cold.
And he tells him, Sigh, I'm so sorry. He goes, but you shouldn't have snuck up on me like that. Like he can hear him.
Right.
So,
And then Benji goes after Alan Swan, who goes outside to find, he's looking in all the different limos, trying
yeah,
to find Alfie. And Benji's like really disappointed in him. And Swan kind of like plays it off like he's like, "Yeah, yeah, I let everybody down, blah, blah, blah." Which is so, it's interesting because I feel like this is like a trope that we see a lot in movies. Like I think of like Eight Crazy Nights, for example.
hmm,
The main character in that movie, he's like, "No, I'm just a loser. I let everybody down. So let me
right.
just keep doing this." But you can see that they are upset, right? Swan is upset. He is affected by this.
Yes.
And Benji brings up, he's like, you're too scared to even talk to your own daughter, which is kind of like a gut
Yeah.
shot a little bit.
Because all along, yeah, Benji's been like his biggest supporter and his biggest, staunch, ally, and,
Mm-hmm.
everybody else talking him down. And now, Benji's turning on, not turned
Yeah,
on him, but
you've
sort of like,
lost him
yeah,
now.
yeah, exactly. You've sunk to the level where now you're this. Even your biggest fan is disappointed.
Yeah, he's like, wow, like what a loser kind of thing,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
of all the things. So back inside, uh, backstage, one of Rojak's guys start fighting. Two of Rojak's guys start beating up King, and he's fighting back, but they're kind of stumbling around backstage. They're getting very, very close to the stage. They're not on quite yet, but it's they're stumbling all around, knocking stuff over, running into people. King, I will say, holding his own
yeah. Pretty much.
for it being 2-on-1.
Mm-hmm. And
And it
supposedly these are muscle guys. So,
right,
but
like
yeah,
this is
he's
their job. This is their
right
one
to
job.
beat up a scrawny puny comedian. So
Yeah, exactly. But King's pretty tall. He's
yeah,
not
yeah,
he's no
seems like a
Alan
New York kind
Swan.
of guy. Yeah,
Yeah.
seems like he's but yeah,
But Swan comes back and he admits to Benji that he is afraid. And Benji's like, "Dude, like you're a hero." And Swan's like, "No, I'm not a hero. Like I'm real. Like I'm a
Yeah,
real guy." And Benji's like, "But all of that, like all that you did on screen was real to me. I need that guy right now because you did all that. So it's in there somewhere."
right. He said, no one's that good of an actor. That somewhere deep down you are that, and as I said earlier, that silly goddamned hero, which is what Alan Swan refers himself as.
Hmm.
As
Hmm.
because but he said he goes you yeah he says I need Alan Swan as big as I can get him. You know.
Hmm. Yeah, exactly. So, meanwhile on stage, the boss hijack sketch is beginning, and you can see the guys fighting in the background, and it's very funny because they're trying to. The other people in the sketch are like giving the cue, during which King would come busting in, and he's not coming, so they just keep saying it.
Right.
And then finally, him and the dudes trying to beat him up come busting in, but the audience thinks it's all part of it. So they're like cracking up, they're cheering.
Yep. Applauding.
Yes, but then the writers and Leo, the producer, are like, what's going on?
Right.
This is not part of it.
No, who are these guys and why are they beating up King?
Right, right. And then it kind of just keeps happening, right? And it does get funny though, because it seems like the actors on stage think it might be part of the sketch because they're getting in on it, but like the most comical way, very like
Right.
slapstick, silly fighting. And then Swan and Benji had been kind of up on the balcony, kind of overlooking the
Yeah,
stage. And
the stage. Uh-huh.
Swan steps up on the balcony and grabs one of the ropes that's there for various things, I guess, and swings down and like knocks one of the bad guys over. And then he gets in on the fight, and he and King are like kind of in sync,
Yep.
um fighting together, and he helps King win the fight, and the audience loves it. And I will say there is a moment where he has a sword and he cuts the guy's shirt, and it reminded me of Zorro so much.
Yeah, because the guy turns around and it's like, yeah, he's like shredded his shirt and his coat and everything. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. So
And
not only does he know how to ride a horse, he knows how to sword fight, or
can
use a sword and
swing on a rope like Tarzan,
like Tarzan or whatever. Yeah. So, well,
or
that was
whatever swashbuckler.
Robin Hood. If you watch
Mm,
he did that in Robin Hood. He
mm,
jumped off the balcony off of a chandelier rope or, whatever, and then
mm.
swung down but anyway, yeah. So,
Yes. But they win the fight, and everyone applauds, and you can tell that Swan is like soaking it up. Like he's feeling it. He's
and
like he's like
yeah,
Sally, he's having like a Sally Field moment, right? They like
exactly.
me. They really like me.
And I like where King sort of steps off to the side and he starts applauding him, like look,
Hmm.
and we get a voiceover by Benji now again.
Hmm. And the next day they went to Connecticut, and he actually went up to the door and knocked on the door and talked to Tess. So he like built up some courage, because like I think that part is like endearing, right? Because I think that like you see this person who's like sort of drunken, like playboy, right? Drinking and humping, like Sai said. But it's like because he's,
Sorry.
and not to be like it's, maybe it's a little cliche, but like he's doing it to like cover up something, right? Because he's
Exactly.
deeply scared. He's at this point kind of irrelevant, probably.
Thinks he well probably realizes or thinks his best years are behind him,
Hmm.
and what he's looking at doesn't look as good as what he looked at
Yeah.
in the past. So
Yeah. So then it becomes like a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? It's like, well, I think I'm a loser, so like let me act like a loser.
right, and if I act like a loser, I'll just be that loser, and then
Right.
I don't disappoint anybody.
Exactly. Everyone should know what to expect from me.
Exactly, yeah.
No one will
That
think I can give them something great and then I'll
don't
fall
rely
short.
on me, don't depend on me.
Yeah.
Don't
If I
expect
if
me to.
I get people to move the bar down to the floor, I can't like miss it, you know?
exactly. Yeah. Yeah, in a way, it's like it's funny and stuff, and a lot of the slapstick and everything. But yeah, deep down, I think it's there's that little bit of redemption at the end for
Mm-hmm.
Alan, and we don't know what happens with Casey and Benji, but they don't allude to that or don't. But hopefully maybe they develop a relationship because
Mm-hmm.
that's sort of like I won't say a secondary thing, but I mean there was a little bit of a part of the plot and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and then but the big
Yeah.
story I think was Alan finding that courage and strength in himself, not only to you know do what he should do, or but not just for the sketch, but in real life, like to be a better dad or to talk to his daughter.
Yeah. To be like a dad,
Yeah, yeah,
honestly.
exactly. Yeah, yeah. So, but
A dad who speaks to his daughter.
to his daughter, yeah. So, but I did
But
like some of the things he said along the way. Like he talked about his marriages, and he said, "I never married any of them; they married me." It's
mm,
like he just he and like about him getting away with things. He said, "I get blamed for all kinds of things that I didn't do, but also I get away with absolute murder on things that I did do, and nobody." So he said it sort of evens out. So.
yeah, exactly. Exactly. There's definitely a little bit of like wistfulness in there.
Yeah, yeah. Thinking about, gee, what if, or
Mhm.
I wish I could have, or I wish I did, that sort
Yeah.
of thing. Um,
Yeah. It's interesting too, because it is sort of like a, what's the phrase? Like never meet your heroes. And Benji gets that. And then it's like, oh,
mm, yeah,
he's like
exactly.
kind of a loser.
Yeah, yeah. He's not.
Like
He's
he has,
not.
I mean, he has some things, right? Like he gives him some tips on like romance and stuff like that. And there is a sort of like outward swagger and confidence that he has that
Oh,
is, educational for
mm-hmm.
Benji, but he deep down is a loser or feels like a loser, so he acts like a loser.
Yeah, and like Benji's mom told him, you should be, family. That's what matters.
You
Look
need a
around you.
home, you need a family.
Family. Yeah.
Shame, you need a wife.
Belle.
Shame on you.
Shame on me indeed, Belle. Shame on me indeed. So,
Yeah. So, but yeah, that's like the moment where he knows that he's
yeah,
like, you
that's
know,
yeah, I like the ending. Yeah, it's maybe a little bit uh saccharine, but I like it. That
yeah. No, I think so too. It's
yeah.
nice, right? You
Uh
need to sometimes you need to be shown a little bit, get a little vote of confidence from someone and then before you can start believing it a little bit.
right.
And he got that vote of confidence and then uh he's able to do it. And then he's able to also carry that into other areas like going to see his daughter and stuff.
The
So,
yeah, the important things in life,
yeah.
family, his daughter, and so on and so
Mhm.
forth. So yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And then of course we get the resolution of the King Kaiser versus Boss Kojak Rojak
right. Yeah.
story where I guess they beat up his guys, so
Yeah.
haha, you have not prevailed. And we
Exactly.
still
Yeah.
kind of did the sketch, so haha.
Yeah, you didn't intimidate me, and then you didn't take us off the air, or put me in the hospital. So we would with the help of Alan Swan, Mister Swashbuckler and Musketeer. So
Yes.
so did you said in the beginning you liked the movie overall?
Hmm.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, yeah, I thought it was a nice movie, and like I said, I think that there are themes that relate to other ones.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Honestly, like a lot of Adam Sandler movies, I feel like
Well, if you think,
that's kind of his thing, right? He's like
yeah,
a
it
big
is
old loser, and
yeah,
then
and makes
he
good, and
yeah, and he starts a thing of like, I'm a big old loser, so I'm just gonna keep being a big old loser, right? It happens in Eight Crazy Nights, it happens in Big Daddy, it happens in Billy Madison,
well, even
Happy
in
Gilmore, I
Happy
think.
Gilmore,
Yeah.
yeah, I was gonna say Happy Gilmore. So
So yeah,
yeah,
so many
there's
of them. Even in The Wedding Singer, which is actually one of my favorites of his,
oh,
but it's
but sort of that
so
redemption cycle. But it's in
mhm,
a lot of it's a common theme. But just
mhm.
tweaked here and there a little bit
Yeah.
differently. So yeah,
I
there
think
was.
the big old drunk loser though lends itself to comedy.
Oh yeah, Arthur.
Mm-hmm.
That's and there was a movie that probably was what I don't know if it won. I know it was nominated for Best Picture. Did
Mm-hmm.
it win? But about that's that carrying all that with all that the way through.
Yeah.
But but again, would a movie like that even get made nowadays?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's sort of been that storyline has been done, but
Mm-hmm.
maybe not in that little of a, again, what I would call Arthur was what I would call a small movie,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
even though it got a lot of critical acclaim
Yeah. Yeah.
for
I'm trying to think of
Dudley
examples of
Moore.
like, yeah, movies with like that, but with a woman. There really aren't that many.
Oh, you mean as far as being
Like the big old drunky loser getting it
yeah,
together.
getting it together? Gosh, I don't. Yeah, you're right. There's not a lot about, it's usually the man that plays that role. There was.
Let women be drunk losers.
I'm trying to
I'm
think.
sure
Yeah,
there are a couple, but definitely, I think there definitely aren't as many.
no, not many that or that come to mind to me right away.
Yeah.
I'm sure that
I
if I
think
sit
there's
there.
like young adult with Charlize Theron is something like that. And like you
Oh
get not as like a main character, but I feel like you get a little bit of like Melissa McCarthy in various movies has that sort of
yeah, yeah. Well, yeah,
vibe.
like maybe not a drunk or anything, but yeah, like what's the one where she loses her job and I think
Tammy?
it's Tammy. I think it's Tammy.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um,
But yeah, I just feel like there's not as many of those with the ladies being
no, no, not. I mean, there's tragic ones where they don't have the redemption cycle. But
yeah.
the one I can think of, like just off the top of my head, is a true story. It's "Lady Sings the Blues" about Billie Holiday.
Mm,
Where she gets into that cycle and then she just sinks down, but she doesn't pull herself out of it, unfortunately.
yeah. But it's like, but I think that it's not as much of like the comedy version where it's like, oh, this big
No,
old drunk
yeah,
goof.
mm-hmm.
Still gotta love him though. Not for a lady.
No, no, yeah, well, there you go. There's your inspiration for your next.
There we
Just
go.
saying. Whatever you
There
say,
we go.
just saying. Just make sure you pick the right lead actor.
Okay. Well, it'll be me. So
Exactly. I was just going to say. So look in a mirror, and then
I'm gonna be a Sylvester Stallone and just be like, nope,
it's nope, nope. Here's the deal. You
me.
get the movie, but you get me. So
Yeah.
yes. So
I think I'm pretty good. I think I'm as good an actor as Sylvester Stallone.
easily. So you might have to start mumbling a little bit in order to get the diction right. So
Got gaps.
yeah.
She's got gaps. I got gaps.
Gaps.
Fill
Fill in the
gaps.
gap. This is Cuff and Link. Yeah,
But
you need to have pets with an oddball name like that, like Ball and Chain, or
there you go. I'll rename my cats.
yeah, there you go.
So,
So, well, I'm
well,
glad you
yeah,
liked the movie. So,
yeah. No, I think it was an enjoyable little comedy,
good.
and with a with a little bit of heart at the middle,
Mm-hmm.
and I think some good performances. I think Peter O'Toole was very funny and also sad.
Yeah,
I
it
love
was,
his very posh accent.
and
Sounds very fancy.
I think he is from. Is he from Scotland originally?
Well, with the last name O'Toole.
Wait a minute, I'm looking. No, he's Yorkshire, England. So is where he
Oh.
was born. So he
So
was.
he probably he had to get rid of that accent because that
Yeah,
means Yorkshire, they have that weird like
that really
um
kind of
some chicken and a county cork.
yeah, sort of. I mean, yeah, his
Oh, he's from Leeds. Do you know who's from Leeds? Have you ever heard Scary Spice talk?
In real life, you mean? Yeah.
Yes.
Is she from
She's
Leeds?
from Leeds. So
Oh,
like
well, there
in
you go.
her
Yeah, that's.
accent is like was unintelligible to me as a child
I was
in
getting ready to
Spice
say
World.
that
When I
that's
say
almost like
go, we go. Like
go
that is what
go.
that's the accent where he's from.
See, so look at what
So
he
he
had
must
to
have done
do.
some work.
So you talked a little bit though about your experience with Peter O'Toole. So you
Yes.
know
Oh, we didn't
him
talk about
from.
all of his movies. Yeah.
Well,
So
that's okay, but I know
I
the
know
ones.
two things. He is King Priam in Troy. So he's the king of Troy in the movie Troy, which is where
Hmm.
like Brad Pitt is Achilles, etc.
Right.
And he's the voice of Anton Ego, who is the food critic in Ratatouille.
And and you can tell by that voice right away. That's
Yes.
yes. So
He has a good voice.
and
Him
the
and like
character
Jeremy
even.
Irons have
Yeah,
great
but even the
voices.
character in Ratatouille sort of is drawn sort of like, has
Yeah.
that kind of lean looking face and that those
Oh, the
long.
cheekbones and like,
Yes, and so
yeah.
on and so forth. But
But yeah,
yeah.
I mean, he's been in a million other things. I just haven't seen him. So for people who may not know, I think Lawrence of Arabia is like one of his
Yeah.
biggest things. Also, a ton of stage work. I'm not even like talking about the
Oh,
stage
right.
work, but like he like all the Shakespeare, all of that. But movies, Beckett, The Lion in Winter, Goodbye, Mr. Chips, The Ruling Class, The Stunt Man, Venus, What's a New Pussycat, Man of La Mancha, Caligula, Supergirl, on and on and on and on.
On and on and on. Exactly. So I mean, just yeah, just had just all kinds of things. So really liked him in. Of course, his the big breakout role was Lawrence of Arabia,
Hmm.
which is on my list. I mean, that's an epic just unto itself, but that's a big movie to me. It's a
Yes,
big movie,
for
not
sure.
just because of the vistas and everything, but the story. That's the whole thing about uniting that part of the world. But he is so good in that, where he portrays a very troubled person and then but
Mm.
rises to that occasion. But anyway, so another discussion. Well, good. Well, I'm glad you liked it. So thank you for indulging and watching that, and another one, like some of your selections, another movie that had not heard of or not seen, but
Hmm.
hopefully it'll, now you can, if people say, "Well, did you ever see?" Yeah, I saw that. So yeah,
I
watch that.
certainly did.
Yeah,
Yes,
so yeah, know all
absolutely.
about it. Yeah, I know all about Alan Swan and Benji Stone and
And King Kaiser's comedy
yeah,
cavalcade.
and Belle Steinberg Karoka.
Taroka.
There you go. So
So yeah, and I encourage everybody, like it's another one that's like right about 90 minutes, so
yeah,
check it out. Jim
uh,
found it for free on YouTube without ads.
I was going to say I found it for free on YouTube. Yeah, with no ads, no interruptions, no commercials or anything. So and it was fine. Just yeah, it was
Nice.
great. So
Nice. I definitely encourage people to check it out if you hadn't seen it. It's just like a nice kind of straightforward comedy with, with a little heart
mm,
as we like it. So, anything else you want to add, Jim, before we wrap up?
no, no. I just like I said, I hope if you haven't seen it, please give it a watch. And if you're not, if the only thing you know Peter O'Toole for is Lawrence of Arabia, please give this a watch because I think he's very funny.
Hmm.
He's a good comedian, and he was a great actor, but his timing and everything I think is very good. And I really enjoyed Mark Lynn Baker's performance in this. I
Hmm.
thought he was. I could see why they picked him to do other things, TV mostly, but he's very.
Yeah.
I think he was very good at the physical comedy. There was a few slapstick routines that sort of played off, and his over the top reactions and stuff were
Hmm.
kind of good.
Hmm.
So
Is he more of the straight man on Perfect Strangers? Because I could
yes,
definitely
very
see
much
him being
so.
good as the straight
Hmm.
man,
Yes,
as
very
he has
much
that sort
so.
of like acerbic kind of
Yeah,
witty quality that I think could be a
yeah,
good like
we're
foil to like a sort of what's his Balky or whatever
yeah,
the
Bronson
Bronson
Pinchot's
Pinchot.
character was the comic relief, so to speak. But
Mhm.
yeah, so he was the straight man as his cousin in America, and he was but he had some good, some funny moments in there as well. So
Hmm.
anyway,
Yeah.
so
Anyways, well, thank you all for listening. Please be sure to subscribe wherever you're listening to this so you can get all of our episodes delivered right to you every Monday when they come out. Please leave us a rating, a review, a comment. Hopefully, it's a nice one, or else,
we'll send Boss Hijack.
yes, we will send Boss Hijack. Look out for falling lights, folks.
That's right.
You can also follow us on Instagram at Some of Our Parts Pod. You can see all the movies that we've talked about. There's quite a variety there. It's been nice. There are some that Jim has picked that I've never heard of, some that I've picked that Jim's never heard of. And so hopefully you can discover something new too, or
We
be reminded of something that you enjoy.
we run the gamut from the 40s so far all the way up to almost current time. So there's a
Yeah.
big gap. There's a big span. I won't say gap, but a big span. So if you can't
Yeah.
find a good movie in there, shame on you.
Yes. You can also see little previews of what's to come and whatever else we decide to post. And with that, bye bye.
Take care.